You know, when that Mario and Luigi Brothership review got released by IGN, it was just another one of the many days at that publication where they just went, wanna be starting something, got to be starting something. And that's right, IGN chose to fight yet again as they released yet another controversial review. And I wanted to talk about this in particular because one, I actually have been really excited about Mario and Luigi Brothership. I haven't talked about it much on this channel, but I've been keeping track of it and I've been very excited to try it out. So I've been playing it for a few days actually. But I also want to talk about because Brothership is being talked about alongside Shadow Generations because for the first time in what I think is ever, I'm sorry if that sentence didn't even make sense. It's just how speechless I am about the reality of the situation. The big Mario title of the fall, at least if you consider Brothership the big title, some people might consider Jamboree the big title, but whatever. But for the very first time, the key Mario title is not only scored lower than the key Sonic title of the fall, but for the very first time, the Sonic title is scored at a 9 out of 10, and meanwhile, Brothership is being scored at a 5 out of 10. And so it's a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little crazy, a little bit unbelievable. Now, as much as I like to joke about like Sonic is better, you know, he trumps everything, he's the best franchise ever, Mario has nothing on him, yada yada yada. I truly do live under a mindset where I want everyone to win. So you know, I want both Mario and Sonic to come out with great games because that just means more stuff for us to play that's like enjoyable. And you know, Mario in particular is very well known for having a great track record, at least when it comes to RPGs or platformers and stuff. I know that like some of the sports games and the party games in particular have been hit or miss. Even some of the RPGs for a little while during that really generic era of Mario where everything seem to be matching the new Super Mario Bros. Aesthetic, but whatever. Mario and Luigi in particular have always been known to be a very solid franchise. And so as someone who's only starting to get into the franchise, so I've been playing the Superstar Saga. I did kind of want to try to play all the games before Brothership, but that just wasn't possible. So you know what? I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to get Brothership and I'm just going to start playing it. And so what I want to talk about today is the context of the reviews that IGN put out for Shadow Generations versus Brothership and my overall thoughts on both games and whether I think one is necessarily better than the other. I mean, there's definitely a very biased answer I have to that question, but if I think about it objectively, it can be a little bit more complex. So we're going to dive into all that, and I think I really just want to use this video as a bit of a like reframing your mind in terms of like how you should be approaching these reviews, because criticism and critics and such, that's always going to be a thing about our media that we consume no matter what, because as long as people put out media, there's always going to be someone that's going to criticize it, and there's always going to be someone that's going to try to make money off of that criticism. And so that's always going to be a thing no matter what. You can't just be like IGN should go to our business or whatever, because that's not going to happen as long as they keep getting the hits. And I gotta say, if there's one thing I want to give IGN credit for, it's the fact that they know how to play the game. They know how to make a clickbaity title and score and such. They know how to make those statements. They know how to get people attracted to their content. So whether you like him or not, IGN knows how to stand out amongst a very, very diluted crowd of publications. And in an age where it seems like lots of game companies and publications left and right are going out of business, IGN has really reigned supreme as one of the top dogs out there for a very long time. And so this is coming from a Sonic fan who absolutely hates IGN, you know, especially back then when they were all, oh, Sonic was never good kind of thing, you know? This is coming from a Sonic fan that's dealt with this bullshit for who knows how long. I have to give them credit. They know how to attract an audience and they know how to last in this industry. So with that aside, let's kind of actually look at the two reviews that they put out. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about them. All I'm going to say is that both reviews, when you actually go into them and kind of see what the content is that they're putting out there and what their exact like praises and cons are, it doesn't sound as dramatic as the scores. And so Shadow Generations, I mean, I have not much to say about this review. They pretty much praised a lot of the things that I personally love about this game. And to me, as a diehard Sonic fan who loves 3D Sonic, this feels like an accurate score to me. Honestly, the only criticism I have with Shadow Generations is its length. Like, I think it's too short, but considering the fact that it is bundled with Sonic Generations, that's not really like a huge factor over here. And so I'm like, I look at IGN's review of Shadow Generations, I'm like, yes, Well, yes, I agree with this 100%. It's about time IGN got on the Sonic train and actually gave Sonic his flowers. But I just watched the Brothership review in particular, and upon watching it, there was a lot of different criticisms that I got from there that I was a little bit iffy on. And to be honest, I'm still playing the game, so I will need some time to fully decide if this review really is that accurate, at least when it comes to like my own opinion on things. But a lot of things that they were dishing out was like performance issues and also a lackluster story and generic gameplay. The only thing they really praised in this game was honestly the battles, and I think the battles are pretty good, but a lot of the stuff that they've been talking about over here, it just sort of seems, I don't know. As someone who's been playing Superstar Saga and jumped straight into Brothership, when I'm comparing those two games side by side, they don't feel like very different games to me, if that makes sense. I think the Luigi AI thing, I think it's being a little bit blown out proportion. I don't think it's that big of a deal personally. Now, granted, I'm not an avid player of the Mario Luigi series yet, so I don't know how Luigi was played in all the other games, but Luigi's AI over here, I've had almost no issue with it so far. It's been totally fine, and if anything, it's just like a bit of a easy mode essentially. So it makes the game a little bit easier, if anything, because when I was playing through Superstar Saga, it was a little bit interesting, a little bit weird to get used to the way that you control both Mario and Luigi, and Luigi in Brothership just sort of just makes things easier. And I can totally understand why, from someone who's a big fan of this series, that could be a downfall. But for someone like me who's just getting into the series, it's not really a huge deal at all, and if anything, just makes the experience a little bit more like flow a little bit easier essentially. As for their complaints about the story and such, I'm not gonna lie, it's nothing really special to me so far. It hasn't really grabbed me in the way that say like the 1,000-Year Door did, for instance, but the 1,000-Year Door is a huge standard to me, and I don't expect every single RPG game to meet it, especially RPG games outside that series. Now, it definitely doesn't seem as interesting as a Superstar Saga story so far to me, but it's not terrible. Like, I don't think it's terrible, and I think that the repetitive dialogue in particular is a little bit weird because this game has just about as much dialogue as any other Mario and Luigi game, as far as I would know anyway. It has just as much dialogue as any Paper Mario game, for instance. And so, I don't know if this person is just talking to like every single NPC, but they're not always gonna have like the most interesting things to say. Like, it's just impossible for every NPC to have an interesting thing to say. So I don't know if that's the perspective they were coming from, but it certainly is not like a game breaker to me. I think the Brothership does come across as very beginner friendly. Like, it really does try to hold your hand and try to like teach you every single aspect of the game. And as like an older gamer, I can see that being a bit of a like, I don't really need this. So maybe in like a future patch, they can make it so that you could skip through a lot of those tutorials, you know, give us like a non-tutorial option. I wonder if there is one in the game actually. I feel like sometimes they would put that in there, but I don't know. I haven't seen it or haven't explored or looked for that personally because I'm personally learning the game, and so I actually don't mind the tutorials because I don't know how to play the game yet. So maybe for like a long time Mario Luigi fan, this might be a bit of a downfall, but for someone like me who's just learning the game and still getting used to mechanics, it's perfectly fine and actually like very helpful to me. I've overall been enjoying my time with Brothership so far. I've only played it for 5 hours, so definitely not long enough to really get a good opinion on this game, but from the small first impressions I've had so far, it just feels like another solid RPG game. It definitely doesn't seem like a game that's like the best game in the series. I do think the game does play it very safe, but I've heard some people even try to compare this to like Sticker Star, and I'm just like, this game has way more personality than Sticker Star. I mean, maybe it's not like the best personality we've had in the series of Mario RPGs. I mean, it's really hard to top the 1,000-Year Door, for instance, or even like Origami King in my personal opinion, but the characters in this game are like cheeky and fun, and they have unique and interesting designs. And maybe it's not the best designs that we've seen in Mario and Luigi. I definitely think we've seen like much more interesting designs just from like the screenshots I've seen of like various other Mario and Luigi games, but it's still like a very lovable group of characters that we're getting to know. And I think the sailing thing is actually kind of fun. I mean, it's nothing like revolutionary or absolutely like mind-boggling, but it is fun, and I don't know. I don't really get it so far personally. Like, I wouldn't say it's like a 9 or 10 out of 10 game, but I would give it a solid 8. I would give Brothership a solid 8 so far. If we have to compare it to other Mario RPGs, it's definitely not as good as some of the best ones out there, but I think that especially if you've been missing Mario and Luigi for a long time because we haven't had a new game in the series for a long time, I think fans should still be pretty satisfied with this title. I mean, maybe it's not going to be like an out of this world best title in the series kind of game, but it's still a very solid entry. If anything, gives us a good roadmap for what to do in the future. So I wanted to close out this video by talking a little bit about criticism and reviews in general, because obviously people are up in arms about this review, and you know, Sonic fans are being just as bad, if I'm being honest. You know, Sonic fans are being like, wow, look at how the tables have turned. And you know what? That kind of discussion is not helpful at all, because the nature of these reviews that come from these gaming publishers is that each review is done by a different individual, and every individual has their own personal experience with the game. So I'm just thinking about if I was in the shoes of a critic and I was reviewing, say, like Super Mario Sunshine back when it first came out, I probably would have given that game like a 4 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10. Now granted, I was like an elementary school kid, so my methods of critiquing games could obviously use some growth and some development, but my honest opinion on Sunshine when I was a kid, and to be honest a little bit now, is I don't think it's a very good game. I don't think it's very fun. And if I was given the duty of reviewing that game and being honest about my opinion, if I was fully like full disclosure, no censoring of myself whatsoever, that's what I would have done. You know how many people would have like sent me death threats and stuff if I did that? I can only imagine. That's why I'm glad they don't make 6-year-old kids do this kind of stuff. But what I wanted to say is that these reviews come from singular individuals. You know, they may be pressured by the higher ups to go in a certain direction, but these reviews are only the opinions of one person. They're not the opinions of IGN as a whole. It's just the opinions of a single individual. And there, no matter what you do in life, there's always going to be someone that's going to hate your game. There is always going to be that one person that doesn't like it for whatever reason. And obviously, Brothership is just not this person's cup of tea. Now, it is a little disappointing to hear that from him, because he stated multiple times that he's a big fan of the series and likes a lot of games within the franchise, but this one just let him down. But nonetheless, like, it is just a single person's opinion, and it is not representative of the game's overall quality. You can play the game yourself and you can decide for yourself if it's a good game or not. But ultimately, like, let's not get crazy or rambunctious over a single person's opinion. I mean, there's definitely two sides to it. Like, you could have an opinion that seems a little bit harmful or seems a little bit mean. Like, the reviews that I really don't like that come out from game publishers is reviews that don't really focus much on the games itself. So I could name like dozens of Sonic reviews I've watched throughout the years that were really mean about the game, but a large majority of the review actually talked about how bad the franchise as a whole has been and not much about the game itself. Watching this IGN review, you know, maybe I had to rewatch it just to kind of like double check for sure, but it seems like they were pretty focused on the game aspects of it and not just being like, oh, this franchise has been dead in the water and it definitely doesn't seem like it has a lot of potential left. You know, they're not just like needlessly being mean or like cruel about the game or the franchise. It seems like they're trying to critique like specific parts about the game, and as we've seen people play this game more and more, I started seeing more mixed opinions on this game as well. So if anything, I hope that these reviews like create more interesting discussions about what Brothership is actually bringing to the table and whether or not there needs to be a bit of an overhaul in terms of like what we do with the series going forward with the next console. So that's my overall take on it. Sure, Shadow Generations got a 9 and Brothership got a 5, but I guarantee you maybe in the next year or even the next couple years or so, the tables will be turned once again, because these reviews are from individuals, and we, I don't know, as a Sonic fan, we just got lucky that a very diehard Sonic fan that loves Adventure Era got their hands on Shadow Generations, and we're also very lucky that Sonic Team just did a good job on the game. But I think Brothership is a good game too. I think it's very solid. I'm having fun with it, and I'm looking forward to playing much more of it once I finish making this video. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you all think about these review scores that are coming out for both Shadow Generations and Brothership? Let me know what your thoughts are on Brothership so far in particular, and what do you think about criticism overall? Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like, I think criticism is a very vital part of this industry and definitely needs to be supported more than anything. But there's two different kinds of criticism, right? There's very hateful criticism that is just like needlessly bashing the franchise or being unfair about the game, and then there's like proper criticism that actually tries to like critique the game and try to like give some feedback on what they think could have been better. And I think that IGN review kind of lies in the middle. I think it's fair enough personally, but let me know your thoughts. Feel free to disagree, and I'd love to just try about Brothership more. If you guys want more Brothership videos, then let me know in the comment section, and I'd be more than happy to talk about it because I'm personally having a good time playing it, and I'm looking forward to see how this game ends up being as I beat it. But all right, y'all, this is Riders, riding out.